Hey guys, Kurt here. I'm back with another episode of Beyond the Basics, and this time I got to have a lovely chat with Daniel. Daniel has been a member with BBT for quite some time. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the numerous recaps that he has posted on the BBT channel. With that in mind, today our focus is going to be on trading intuition. So, trading intuition is something that's a very interesting topic. The reason why is that when you are a new trader, or maybe even a struggling trader, you just don't really have that intuition built up yet. And it's tough for you to make decisions outside of what you're seeing just on the chart itself. However, as you become more experienced and as you get to see more things that are happening in the stock market, you start to kind of get that little bit of an edge where it helps you make decisions when to possibly get into a trade, when to possibly get out of a trade. And even though it's all based on things that you're seeing, whether it be on the chart or maybe in the volume or maybe in the time and sales level 2, it's very hard to describe exactly what you saw at that given moment that made you pull the trigger. And that's kind of where that day trading intuition comes in. So with that, let's go ahead and have a chat with Daniel.
Hi, I am Daniel, and I'm a member of BBT for around 11 months. And I recently went live. I was in Steam for like 10 months, and I've been live for a month and a half. And I just wanted to shoot Kurt an email to talk about some intuition-related topics, because it's been very useful for me. So hopefully it will be useful for everybody else.
Perfect. Yeah, so Daniel emailed me, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, right? It was pretty much right after we had started the BBT series. And when you had emailed me asking about trader intuition, I thought, that's a really unique topic. That's something that I feel like the trading universe doesn't get a whole lot of insight on, because it's kind of one of those things where either you have it or you don't. It's, well, how do you become someone who is a new or a struggling trader that is lacking that quote unquote intuition? How do you turn into someone like Andrew, who, has basically seen and done it all when it comes to trading and has managed to find his way? So that's, I think it's a really interesting topic. And I think before we begin, what's really important to note is, what is intuition? So really quickly, I will just pull up, where's my cursor? There it is. And we'll just type in intuition definition, right? So that's what we're going to look at. And good old Google with its Google dictionary is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. So what does that translate into day trading, or how does that translate into day trading? Well, it's the ability to see all of the information based on your charts, based on your tape, your level 2 and your time and sales, based on the volume, based on just the price action, the news, everything that we're seeing, everything that we're witnessing in real time, and being able to make a decision off of it. So obviously, if you're someone who has only been trading for a few weeks or even a few months, well, there's no way for you to possibly have built up this intuition, because unfortunately, you just haven't seen it all, right? Where if, and we'll just use some vague examples, but you have a stock that gaps up because of good news, well, you don't necessarily know what that stock is going to do based on the price action that you're seeing. Whereas we have people like Andrew or Brian, where they are coming out of the gates with a trading plan built in because they see these things. So one that BBT is really fond of right now is Brian's Rising Devil strategy, right? Where it's a stock that gaps down in the morning, or, due to bad news or whatever it may be. And then it has a slight pop when the market opens, or sometimes it starts even a little bit before the market opens. And what that pop is that's short sellers covering their positions, people who were short overnight for the week, whatever it is. When you get that gap down, people are taking profits. So that's what we're seeing. But that's one of those things where if you're a new trader, you see a stock that looks so bullish in the first, couple of minutes, but it's not actually bullish. That's not a bullish sign. That is actually something that is common with stocks that gap down or sell off due to due to bad news.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one example of how someone who has an established track record of trading, someone who has years of experience under their belt, they're able to formulate plans based on what they've seen previously. The same thing happens when you play a stock a lot. So we'll use Norm as an example in this instance, where Norm for the longest time was only trading Apple, right? So, and there were reasons why he was only trading Apple, but because he has seen that stock and the way that it trades every single day, day in and day out, he has built up an intuition of how it's going to respond to certain levels that he's seen it touch before. And that's one of those things where, once again, a new trader, or you're trading a stock that you've never seen before, you just don't necessarily have that insight and to be able to develop plays based off of things you haven't seen yet. Does that make sense, Daniel?
Yeah, I think that's true. With the example you said about going up and then on the rising devil. It's some people might say that it's counterintuitive. It just
right.
Trading has its own rules. You have to, you know, get them inside your own head. Subconscious or whatever.
Exactly. So let's pretend now that you are an experienced trader. You have a year or two under your belt and you've kind of built up this intuition. Daniel, one of the things that you had said to me before we started is that you felt that your intuition was kind of getting in the way in your trading, right?
Well, actually, what I meant is that when I started getting better in sim, it was because I was learning to lean more and more into my intuition, because I think it just kind of suits my style.
Okay.
And when I went live in an attempt to be more careful and be more, take this more seriously, whatever, I started disconnecting from that intuition, actually.
Oh, okay. So that's what you meant by that. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and that I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what the hell is going on? I used to do well, and now and then I realized, what I'm doing is that I'm just in my own head too much. I'm just trying, it's not my style, trying to, not listen to my intuition, basically, which, yeah.
So think about it, right? So you have been trading in sim for a number of months, and you're trading in a particular style. And, whether it doesn't really matter what that style is, whether you're a momentum trader or a trend trader, a swing trader, a position trader, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But the problem is that if you go from sim as that style of trader, and you try and, once you go live, be more cautious and slow things down, or, if you try and modify it in any way, the issue is that everything that you spent all those months in sim learning, you're disregarding them, and you're not trading the same way that you were. And it's the reason why whenever we are introducing a new strategy to traders, we always recommend right off of the bat is, don't trade that live. Go back, trade that in sim, get used to it so that you can start to build up that intuition where you see what happens when you're taking this strategy. And then from there, you incorporate that into your real account, obviously starting with small size initially and then gradually growing, especially as you can prove that it's a consistently profitable strategy. So yeah, I can definitely see how you trying to take things more seriously actually caused you a bit of problems, because you're not doing what you were doing before. And as long as you were profitable and successful in sim, then why change it, right? The only time you should change your strategy is if the markets themselves change and they're just not working anymore. And even from there, sometimes all it takes is a slight tweak to your strategy to make it successful or to make it work again.
Yeah. The funny thing is that I didn't realize I was changing it. I realized that now, but at the moment I didn't think I was changing. I think a little bit was first the emotional hit. Real money. It kind of it makes you more emotionally involved, and then I started modifying it without realizing it. But now I do. I realized that I was changing a lot what I was doing.
So
that's the scary part, that you can do it without even noticing.
yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
So let's expand that on a little bit. So how did you come to the realization that you weren't following your intuition? And like what happened? What occurred to you where, you went from sim and you were doing well to switching live and you weren't doing well? Would you mind just kind of, and the reason why I ask is because, day traders do not live in a vacuum. If
Yeah.
there's a problem that one of us is experiencing, has experienced, I guarantee you there's another 100,000, 10,000 that are experiencing the same issue. So if you found a way to overcome that, just when I post this to YouTube, you might be the guy that helps turn someone's trading career around.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this chat too. It definitely, I felt like, oh my god, you know, I hope somebody else can benefit from this, from hearing that.
Yeah.
And so basically, yes, yeah. So I was doing very well in sim. Um, uh, so I was getting like around 1 hour on average per day for around, I think the exact number was like 63 trading days.
Okay.
And not 63, and not any major swings. It wasn't like, okay, up 1 hour, but then you had minus 10 hour days.
Yeah,
No, it
yeah.
just it was low variability. And so I switched to live, and then at the beginning I was doing well the first like week. And then I had a little bit of I kind of helped out and kind of like,
Okay.
nothing too massive, but definitely outside of my normal range.
Okay.
And that started all because that got into my head. That got into my head like emotion. And then when I started taking tradings the next days, I just I just something switched. I went from my confident self to just being more scared of protecting my profits. Just too worried about the money itself and not the trading.
Okay.
And then that started evolving into me being more and more defensive, and that evolved into you gotta defend your capital, but you cannot be defensive. You gotta take your opportunities, right? So that evolved into me trying to switch, kind of change my style. And at the moment, I didn't realize any of this. I realized that I was more stressed when I was trading. That's something I do realize because it's an emotion, you can tell. But as far as analytically, I didn't realize that I was changing my trading style for a more that I was doing less stuff with my intuition, and I was doing more stuff by trying to be very mechanical about my rules, which was never 100% my style. I definitely have some rules, but I'm not very mechanical when it comes to my trading.
Right.
As I don't have a checklist for all those things. So and then it got to a point where it was that bad. I was like, oh my god, what the hell is going on, right? I used to do well, and now I just can't seem to get it right. It's the complete opposite. I just don't get it right at all. Like, I realized that I used to enjoy trading. I do now again too, but it was fun for me, right? It's a fun experience, overall. And I started, not liking at all, like really, really not an enjoyable experience anymore. That was one thing so maybe I'm just saying things so people, maybe someone can relate and, and so that's one thing I noticed, that I wasn't enjoying it anymore. Another thing is that thing that I said about not having as good a success rate, or very bad success rate. And then I remember I emailed Andrew and I told him, I used to do well in sim, and now just seems like I cannot get it right in life. Is it, do you think it could be something in the market, or he said, 100% it has to be psychological. Something psychological is going on in there, right? And somehow that clicked, right? And I remember I talked to my fiance also, and I told her, this thing with trading is, I think, I don't know. Luckily, she's very supportive, but still, I just wanted to talk to somebody. I told her, I don't know. I thought I was close to just being ready for, to being profitable and being, making some extra income from fees. But I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna take another 5 months, 6 months, or whatever it's gonna take. I need to take this pressure off mentally. I don't know when I'm gonna be profitable. I don't know what's going on. And I just wanna, enjoy it again and learn. And keep being, keep just improving on my trading instead of focusing on profitability, too much. And I did that. That helped. I think the thing that Andrew told me that it was psychological. I was like, he's probably right. He has a lot of experience, so it's probably has something to do with that. And then the next day, I kind of just relaxed and decided to just go with the flow, like I used to do before. Just if I felt that something was good, instead of thinking too much, overthinking it, and getting inside my head and saying, so is it really good, or is there something I should look at? Should I look at this other chart to make sure? I just kind of started taking trades as I used to do before, just more based on my feeling in the moment. Obviously, you have to manage that. I used to do that also when I first started, and it went terribly, just because I started building like muscle memory that Andrew talks about. And I'm still do, right. And then I start, and that day I did well, right. I had a good day. In a while, I had before that I had like several red days, and then I kept doing that, and I kept working. Basically, I got back into. I was able to remember how I used to trade, and slowly getting back into that, and still learning a lot, because I only been trading for like 11 months. So even though I have some intuition, I still have to improve that a lot, right?
Right, of course. So there's a couple things that I want to touch on. So if we go back to the very beginning, when you switched from...
Yeah, I talked a lot.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, that's all right. I've got some mental notes in here. So one of the things that you talked about is when you switched from sim to live, you were slower to take trades. So one of the things that Peter says frequently is take the damn trade. So something that can happen with that is you start to look for as many confirmation signals as you possibly can get before you get in the trade. And the problem is that if you are a momentum trader like you are, where you're trading these very quick plays where you need to be scalping, you need to be pretty much in the money from the second you hit the buy button, because if you're not, if there's no real momentum on your side, it can definitely go against you, and go against you hard. So
they hit it right on the head. That's exactly what.
And the issue is that if you were trading in sim where and just we'll use some examples of some of the strategies that we use, like the ABCD setup. So obviously you have your A down here, your B up here, your C somewhere halfway in between. Well, the best possible entry that you can possibly get is super close to that C, right? So the problem is that if you were trading at that C point all throughout sim, but then you switch to live and you say, well, I'm going to wait for the confirmation for it to, go back up to the high point of B. Well, the issue is that your risk to reward is now so skewed up, where normally your risk would only be, a few pennies, or 5 cents, 10 cents, whatever it is. But now your risk is so far away, which means that even if the trade does work, you're not getting that R to R that you're typically looking for. And, maybe you get a 20-cent pop, but your risk is 30 cents away. So you're like, oh, I have to hold. I'm not at 1R yet. And then it winds up going against you and you fail.
And psychologically, you're a mess too, because it's just not, you just don't feel comfortable because you're not used to it.
Exactly. And then the problem that comes from that is that as you have more and more of these quote unquote failed setups, you lose confidence in your ability as a trader. And that's something that we talked about last time when I did the episode on psychology, is that successful traders, one of the key components to their success is the fact that they're confident in their setups. And as soon as you, as a day trader, lose confidence in the trades that you're taking, it is very difficult to come back from that, because then it's like you said, where you're thinking about the money and you're thinking about profitability, and you're not thinking about taking the proper setups and taking the right trades. So it's very easy to go from a successful trader, whether it be in sim or in real, have a couple of bad experiences and suddenly you feel like you're back at square one. I can't tell you how many traders I talk to on a regular basis. Well, they'll just say, Kurt, I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, I'm glad I'm not alone then.
No. I mean, look, there are times where I wake up and it's like, man, my style of trading just hasn't been working. And part of that is the market, because sometimes the market is not favorable for trend traders like me. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Lately, with all the changing news and stuff.
I mean, the SPY is just doing one of these. So and that's part of it where, it starts to really have an impact on your trading overall because you just feel like you don't know what you're doing. But the fact of the matter is that no, if you have strategies that work, whether it's momentum or trend trading or whatever else, one of the things that you have to remember as a day trader is that your setups are not going to work 100% of the time. It is statistically improbable. It is also impossible for you to have a 100% success rate as a trader. That's it. It's silly to think that way, and unfortunately, day traders, we often struggle with that. And you have a couple of red days, and the problem isn't the red days, right? You have 3 red days in a row, and it's not like you are worrying about your account unless you have a really bad red day, which that's a topic for another discussion. It starts causing you these problems internally where you're doubting yourself, you're doubting your abilities as a day trader, you're doubting your strategies, you're doubting whether you're going to make it. And then everything that you've learned up until this point, building that intuition that we've been talking about, completely goes out the window.
You start doubting your entries, your exits, your stop losses. You start doubting everything.
Exactly, which is why it's so important for you to not just accept the fact that you're going to have losses and that you're going to have red days, but to accept those red days and to accept them with grace, because that's what's important. So I was on a really nice green streak that just ended on Thursday of this week. And it's like, man, well, that stinks. My green streak is gone. However, at the end of the day, I finished with a very manageable red day, something that I'm not going to regret and worry about the next day. And literally Friday, I had my best day that I've ever had. I don't know if you saw that. I had a trade where it was a 49.5 R realized trade, which is just absolutely insane.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's that. Did you put a recap of that?
No, I didn't do a recap. And the reason why is I actually was on the mic at the time and I went over the trade. So basically what happened is I took CTRP, C-trip short. I was, I think, 2 pennies off the high of the day. And then the news dropped that the US was potentially going to remove or prevent money from flowing into Chinese investments. And it dropped. I only had 3 cents risk, and it dropped a matter of like $2.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was just
nice, man. That's very nice.
And like part of it, obviously, I have to chalk it up to luck, right? Because it is not like I knew that the White House was gonna do something like that or mention it. But at the other time, it's like, well, I managed it really, really well, because it's one of those things where, because I have so much experience in the market and because I've seen how these things play out, I've been in stocks with breaking news before. And typically with my trading style is I will start partialing when I'm somewhere between like 5 and 10 R to start covering, my cost of entry, to cover my, basically break even. But instead, what I was doing is normally, like, I'll get out 50%. I was taking 10% partials on the way down, which is why I was able to get such a nice risk to reward. But that's, once again, that's something that comes from experience. That's, imagine if you were in a trade, right? Where, and it's so hard to do this. It's such an abstract thought, but imagine if you were in a trade and suddenly you're sitting up like 25 Rs. Like, what is the natural reaction is like, get out. I just had like a massive trade, right?
Yeah.
But you have to at the same time think about how the stock market trades and how stocks react. And as soon as I found out that there was bad news associated with it, of course, like I'm going to hold on that position because I know what's going to happen is, sure, the stock dropped down to VWAP in a matter of 4 minutes coming off of high of the day, but I knew that there was going to be a continuation, because after it lost VWAP, it came back up, tested it, and then went another dollar lower. And that's one of those things where it comes from experience, and it's from everything that I've learned in the stock market up to this point. Because I could have very easily, had one of those days where it was a 10-hour trade, and then if I were to look back at it later, be like, oh my God, like what did I do? Because there's some FOMO there. If you get out and it dumps another, dollar and a half.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So experience allowed you to, capitalize on that opportunity, right? For sure. Yeah. It wasn't just luck. You had luck, but you also had the experience to seize it, right?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. There was some luck into how quickly it.
But you can get bad luck too. So
Oh, believe me, I've been in stocks that have ripped $1 against me because of news. So, yeah, it's not fun. So, something that I also wanted to talk about is how do you go from someone who just has no intuition, and how do you turn yourself into a trader that can start making decisions off of intuition? And obviously, the first thing I'm going to say is, well, you need screen time, right?
Yeah.
Because
even recaps, I think recaps help a lot. That's why it's so amazing.
Yeah. It's just, you need to continue to educate yourself, and whether that be from watching other traders, or going back and reviewing your own trades, or just sitting and watching the market. You need to see how stocks trade, and you need to see how they trade in relation to certain catalysts, because I think that's really important too. And once you start to see these common patterns occurring over and over and over again, that's where you get to be where you're in Daniel's shoes, where he's at now, where even though he initially struggled going from sim to live, when he went back to all of that knowledge that he had built upon, he turned things around and he became successful again. And
and just to build on your point, because I think it could be useful. I think something that I think really helps me is something that Andrew says a lot, and I interpret it in this way. It's don't make trading, don't build your life around, don't build your well, is it you're trading around your life, or your life around your trading?
So right? You need to fit trading into your life, not your life into trading. Yes.
Right. So it really helps, because I could obsess about this to the point where it becomes a chore, and luckily I haven't let myself do that. So it's still very exciting to me. So I'm happy to, it's not, sometimes it is a little bit of determination to go through, but since I like it, since it's something that I like doing, it's a lot easier for me to be motivated to watch recaps, to watch other videos, to watch. I watch, I would say, pretty much all the videos that we put out, and I think, as you said, that's very useful. But also for some people, if they feel, I think, like, if you feel, and that's what that was happening to me before, when I said that I wasn't enjoying it. It was also being harder and harder for me to actually look at recaps. So you got to find a way that you enjoy this as well, so you're more motivated to learn, right? Don't let yourself be, just punish yourself by learning. You want to be happy to learn, right?
Right.
Find a way that you can be that.
Yeah, there has to be a balance in your life with trading. And one of the things that a lot of people talk about is trading with scared money. And they're right that if you are so focused on the money, whether it because you actually need it for to earn a living, or you're scared of losing what's in your account, the problem is that you're not going to be able to make sound trading decisions, because at the end of the day, day trading is risky. And there's no way around that. You will never be able to convince me that day trading isn't risky. It inherently is. You are pressing a button and you're putting your money on the line. And
it's evolving, so even if it's all the time, you got to change with the market, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway, as I was saying, it in order to overcome that, that's why we have our risk management rules, right? Where you only
yeah,
allowed to risk a certain amount per trade. We're setting stop losses, whatever it may be. So, back to this concept of intuition is the problem is that if you are so focused on the money, or you're trading with scared money, or you're just not confident in your ability, the issue is that your mind is going to mentally block everything that you've spent all of this time learning. You can watch a hundred
yeah.
thousand hours of trading recaps, but the problem is if you're scared and you're
That's so
stressed
true.
and you're worried, it's not going to matter.
Yeah,
Look at any sport, any intense activity that people do. It's very hard to function at your highest level when you're worried, when you're scared. Now, obviously, you put someone out and, it's their first time playing in an NFL game. Like, yeah, they're probably gonna be a little anxious, be a little worried, a little stressed out. Right? It's their first time on the field. And they may make some blunders because of that, but as they continue to play and they continue to practice, those blunders that are caused by stress and by fear, they're going to go away. And the same thing is true with day trading, is that you have to overcome that sense of fear, and you have to really focus on the trading and focus on what focus on your strategies. And if you can do that, if you can manage your risk, and if you can try and detach from your emotions as much as possible, you can become a successful trader.
yeah, and that honestly that happens by itself. But
Mm-hmm.
as you said, you can accelerate it by not adding, by not making it worse. By
Yeah,
having worrying you're having to money that you can't lose, or whatever else you can do to have a healthy lifestyle and whatnot. So I think that probably also helps, right? Just to make it easier on
exactly.
yourself. But over time, yeah, it's just I think it's over time. Just over time, you start getting less scared or less emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Just you have to walk the steps. There's no other way.
Exactly. So, if I were to give, one piece of advice, and I'm going to have you do the same thing once I'm done. But if I were to give one piece of advice to a new or a struggling trader right now that is wondering, when is it all going to click? Because that's a
Hmm.
question that we get asked all the time is, how long did it take for things to really click for you, or what made it click? There's no one right answer for that. But in order for you to find that out for yourself, in order for you to be able to experience that moment, you have to, one, start in simulator. And then number two, when you switch to live, you need to trade with money that you're not afraid to lose. And the reason why is that day trading is, and this is something that Juan and I discussed, and it really, rang true to me, is day trading is all about survivability. If you
Hmm.
can survive the initial learning curve, you can make it as a trader. There's no
Hmm.
guarantees there. I'm not telling you that, just keep putting money into your account until you make it, because, obviously there's a lot that comes between just shoveling money into your IB account and becoming a successful day trader. But that is 100%, key to making it, is being able to survive long enough that everything comes together. And as long as you trade smart and you continue to educate yourself, there's a good chance that you're going to make it. So, Daniel,
Yeah.
I'm going to pose the same question to you. What would you recommend to traders who are out there, people who are thinking about getting into trading? How can they go from an inexperienced, struggling trader into someone who has established a sense of intuition in the market?
Yeah, yeah. First of all, just to say that what everything you said, it's I agree completely. So then to maybe think of some other things that will help is that, for example, um, it's I don't think it's ever gonna click every day. You're gonna have days that it's not gonna click because it's this is a competitive environment, and just as you are improving, everybody else, and not even humans, are improving.
Yeah.
Robots and everybody is improving, right?
Mhm.
So I think you gotta look at how often do you have days that click. You should be getting more and more days that click. It's not like you're never gonna have days that you are not you're not doing. And even within good days, there are gonna be stocks that you just don't click with that stock. You just don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's going on with it. Um, so so I would say definitely everything you said. Look at it that way. Don't look at it as something that's 100 or zero. And I don't know. Maybe it's. I can't think of anything on the top of my head.
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay. All right, Daniel. So now that we're pretty much wrapping up this conversation, it it would be unwise of me to at least ask you, as someone who has developed a sense of a trading intuition, and obviously now that you've overcome the psychological effects that you were having, or the psychological impact that was you're having with your trading, what can you offer up to some of the newer or struggling traders, things that you've learned that aren't necessarily in a book, or aren't in some of those videos that are sitting out there in YouTube, whether it be BBT or some other channel? There's something that maybe other traders can take a look at and see if it would help their trading.
yeah. I think one thing that is very important is try to enjoy it. Enjoy the experience of learning. Yeah, you're gonna. And it just. I don't think it's just my opinion. You see Andrew. You saw there like he started yelling cover, cover, cover.
Yeah.
He was in the moment. He was loving it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think as a momentum trader, you have to. It's part of that. Riding that wave. You gotta enjoy try to find things that you like experimenting with. Get comfortable with experimentation. Get comfortable with enjoying being in touch with intuition and enjoying being learning what's going on with the market.
Mm-hmm.
And also as well, if you want to go even more practical and less philosophical, is the fact that you can, for example, as a momentum trader, I do it, and I think, and Andrew does it a lot. Is he gets out, he has a stop, but he will get out before he stop, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see him a lot. I do that too, and honestly, I'm not as not nearly as close as good as he is. But there's so many times that you will be safe, because as a momentum trader, just as it quickly go to a way, you can quickly go again. So even if you have a hard like a stop that you want to adhere, sometimes I will get out, and they will. If I'm long, I'll get out, and then it will dump massively. So it can help a lot to sometimes get out before, and basing on how the movement is going. How it's at. How long it's taken, stuff that you got to learn. Sometimes it will burn you, right? Sometimes you will get out and it wasn't what you thought, but that's how you learn. That's how you develop that intuition, or muscle memory, as Andrew call it as well.
Yeah. And I think what's actually really important, something that can be pulled from that, is as a day trader, whether you are a momentum trader or not, it's being okay with being wrong. And when you get out of a trade early, as we would call it, right? That you didn't get out because you got stopped out, you didn't get out because you were taking profits, but you were getting out early because it just didn't feel right to you, whether it was that time factor. I've been in this stock for 6 minutes, why has it not gone anywhere? Or maybe you're just not liking what you're seeing on the level 2, whatever it is, but accepting that fact that you were wrong about that trade, and that doesn't make you a bad trader. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that people have, and I struggle with it sometimes, where it's you just don't want to get out of a trade because there's that fear that either it's going to go without you, or it's the fact that you are accepting that you were wrong and that it wasn't a quote unquote good trade, which is just not the way to look at it. So
For sure, yeah. Yeah, it's you gotta get comfortable with that uncertainty, for sure.
mm-hmm.
It's not natural to be uncomfortable with uncertainty, but it happens over time, I think.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And as you continue to practice, your day trading, you'll eventually come to that realization that,
You'll have better senses, for sure. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. But
And look, it'll eventually get to the point where you're going to get into a trade, and obviously you're going to think that you're right, and that if you're taking trades that are based on your strategies. You have a statistical probability of being right, but at the end of the day, the moment that you push that buy button or the moment that you push that sell button, at the end of the day, you have no idea what it's going to do.
Nothing is foolproof.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can improve your sense, but no.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's just going about and managing your trade. But that being said, Daniel, I wanted to thank you for joining me today in this episode of Beyond the Basics. I think that, once again, like I said in the beginning, that intuition is something that doesn't often get discussed in the day trading world, because it's one of those things where people think that either you have it or you don't. And even though that is certainly true, there is nothing stopping a new trader from building that intuition other than
it's unfortunate because that's not the way. I don't think that's the way at all. It's unfortunate if somebody were to think that. I think you can definitely
it really is an interesting belief. There are some people that think that some folks will never make it as day traders, and whether it's because of their lack of talent or their inability to control their emotions, whatever it may be. Even though I know that day trading, obviously we have that whole 90% of day traders fail. I think that for the people who put forth the proper effort and put forth the hard work, I think they're all that more likely to be in that, that 1% to 10% who wind up making. And it's just, once again, it goes back to like what we said. You just got to survive the learning curve. If you can
it's always going to be a good learning experience for like, even in a personal way. These are things that are going to help you in all the aspects of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you're a trader out there right now and you're not making it, or you're struggling, and you decide that it's time to hang it up, that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't mean that it's just, unfortunately,
sometimes it's not for everybody. It's just I'm sure there's tons of professions that I wouldn't want to do.
Exactly right. Like, I promise you, if you were to put me on a baseball diamond right now and say, Kurt, you're gonna pitch for the Yankees, I'm gonna look at you like you're absolutely insane. So awesome. Well, thank you once again, Daniel. It was great having this chat with you, and hopefully members of our community and all of those folks out there on YouTube, they can learn a little something from this video.
I hope so. Yeah. Thank you so much for this series. These are really good, and I'm glad we could have this chat.
If you are interested in joining me in a discussion on a day trading topic of your choosing, please send me an email to kurt@bearbulletraders.com. Please be prepared to provide me with your bearbulletraders.com username.